Hello, everyone. This is Senior Biotech Analyst John Vandermosten. Welcome to our channel that educates the life sciences investor on exciting advancements in drugs, biologics, and devices. For more content and news like this, subscribe to our channel below and like or share with others. All right, we're back with CEO of Alarity Therapeutics, Jim Cullum. Jim, welcome back. Alarity Therapeutics, it's got a portfolio of several former big pharma drugs with a new focus on combination therapies. The company's market cap is in the millions, but there are opportunities in the billions if the candidate's approved. We've spoken about the lead programs in stenoparib and davitinib and about the DRP platform. So now let's move on to talk about some of the other work you're doing. One of your other primary candidates is IXEMPRA. It's actually approved in the United States for breast cancer, and you're working on getting it approved in Europe using the DRP platform. Tell us about that, Jim, and how you're working on that.
Happy to talk about that program, John, and great to be back here with you. Thanks for having me. So IXEMPRA is part of our priority pipeline of 3 assets, as you correctly noted. Like our other 2 lead programs, stenoparib and davitinib, it is a former a big pharma asset. In this case, originally developed and brought to the U.S. market by Bristol Myers Squibb. After a couple years of marketing the drug, it was out-licensed and actually taken out of Bristol Myers Squibb by a group of executives that had developed it there, brought it to market, and they took it into a small private U.S. company called R-Pharm US that we acquired the program for. As you noted, it's a little bit of an outlier for us historically because we don't own the global rights to the program. Normally that is part of our drug acquisition strategy and parameters. But in the case of IXEMPRA, we were very enthused about, number one, the fact that it is already approved and on sale and benefiting second-line metastatic breast cancer patients in the U.S., which is on the label. But we thought that we could expand the market and approval for the drug in Europe, where it was never approved, combining it with a IXEMPRA-specific DRP companion diagnostic, which we've developed to shift the matrix of the therapeutic benefit versus the risk and cost. And we're in the process of doing that in our ongoing phase 2 study for the drug, which we're expecting, per our recent announcement, to have an interim data readout on towards the end of the first quarter of next year.
All right, 1Q23. IXEMPRA is a microtubule inhibitor, and there are a few other approved microtubule inhibitors out there. How is IXEMPRA different from those, and how will you differentiate what you do, especially considering that you have the DRP platform that's going to help with that?
So first of all, I'll take note of the fact that as we have talked about with respect to combination therapy approaches, and the ever increasing introduction of new therapeutics and new mechanisms of treating tumors into the space, that the metastatic breast cancer field has been impacted a lot recently by the shift in standard of care to CDK4/6 inhibitors. It's really sort of revolutionized the treatment there, and because of that, some of the older monotherapy treatments that are out there, like IXEMPRA, are facing an increasing market challenge. How we are approaching differentiating IXEMPRA in that setting, where it is currently improved, is really through the use of the DRP companion diagnostic. It's the differentiator there for that program is really being able to select and treat only the most likely responder patients, and as you said earlier in a segment on the DRP, exclude the likely non-responders. So you're treating the right patients and you're not treating the wrong patients, and we think we can shift the value there.
There are some patients that do respond pretty well to that. And breast cancer is the indication. That's actually one of the largest indications in the cancer space. Tell us how we already talked a little bit about how you're going to carve out your part of the market, but is there anything further approach that you're going to take to hammer out your niche there?
Not with respect to IXEMPRA. The only study that we have ongoing right now for that asset is the monotherapy second-line metastatic breast cancer study which is in phase 2. Of course, like every company, once we have the data readout, we'll evaluate how strong the data is and what the prospects are to potentially go forward with that asset. It is, as I mentioned earlier, a little bit atypical for us that we don't control the entire program. So the scope of our license rights and our program from the drug owner, our farm, is really right now focused on uh, hopefully moving towards an approval in second line metastatic breast cancer in Europe. Is there potential for us to do other indications to enter into combination therapies with that? Potentially, but that's something that we'll need to discuss with the drug owner, our farm, once we have some good data in hand, and
Got
hopefully
it.
we'll have some good data in hand.
And I'm,
No
I'm sure
promises.
I'm sure they'd be willing to work with you if if it meant that there's some synergies there. Ultimate commercialization is always an interest. I know that's a few years away for you guys, but it's something we always try to think about. And there are a couple of ways you can do it. You can either develop it yourself internally, and you do have multiple assets, so that could make sense. Or you could try to find a large pharma partner to do it with you, or you could even try to find a kind of a hybrid approach. What do you think is most appropriate for Alarity's drug portfolio for commercialization when you get to that point?
So historically, John, our company has been focused on accelerating or advancing clinical stage assets to inflection points driven off of strong trial results, and those trial results being developed using a drug-specific DRP companion diagnostic, where we could exit the program, whether that's through a partnership where a larger integrated pharmaceutical company with a marketing and sales presence and structure would come in and either completely acquire the program or partner it through the later stages onto to market. That is still primarily our approach of our company. We don't have specific plans to build out a marketing sales force and become an integrated therapeutic, sales organization. It's always something to consider, and we will consider it when we get closer to having a drug approval, if that is the path that makes the most sense, not only economically in terms of shareholder return, but also in terms of the fairly substantial hurdles and costs of building out that kind of organization. So it's not off the table, but it certainly is not the main strategy of the company.
I see. And let's explore the opportunities for DRP outside of Alarity. It seems like a great tool to use. It seems like insurance companies would be really attracted to it because, they're paying for products for cancer patients to use, and they know that it's not going to work in all of them. Why wouldn't it make sense for an insurance company or you to work with a partner who could do this to more accurately target all drugs, not just Alarity's portfolio, but all the ones that are already out there and approved. What do you think about that?
I've thought a lot of it over the almost 9 years I've been with the company, and I love that question, John. Thanks for asking it. You hit the nail on the head very accurately that the DRP more broadly does have a great promise and applicability to therapeutics that are owned by other companies. We actually began this company with that approach strategically, and spent some years and some effort seeing if we could get traction as a diagnostic partner to therapeutic developers. We did not succeed on that business model for a number of reasons years ago, and that actually led us to be interested and focus on acquiring our own therapeutic
Mm-hmm.
pipeline, and then
Mm-hmm.
bringing those assets to market, and also by bringing those good drugs to market, showing the value of DRP. So you are correct that long term, in the broad picture for the investment community that follows your channel, and any other investor, that is certainly a potential and desired future of the DRP. To get there, we have to show enough times in prospective clinical studies that DRP works, and we've spent a lot of money and a lot of effort over the last 15 years, many dozens of times in many studies that were conducted, retrospective and blinded, that the DRP can do what we say it can do, and it really can move the needle for a patient benefit from these therapies, and really usher in what we call the realizing the true promise of personalized medicine. But We now need to go through the programs we're running now, which are prospective studies, to really prove out that DRP can move the needle. And if it does, we think the technology itself will become something that leads us to partnerships, as you're discussing.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, Jim, thank you so much for answering my questions today. I think it was really helpful, and I think we all understand how DRP and your combination portfolio work a little bit better now. We have, again, CEO of Alarity Therapeutics, Jim Cullum, and the ticker symbol of the company is ALLR.